Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zarrell. With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick. And joining us from the Two Mics podcast with Mike and Mike, Michael Carlson.
Hello, everybody. This is Michael.
Thank you for coming back, Michael. It's always fun when you're on the show. It always gets a little better.
Okay.
I don't know. I've always enjoyed when you're on. It's been fun.
Well, thank you.
Visit us
since I was on last. I've been usually I have that itch to talk, but I started my own podcast, the Two Mics, famous from being online. You know, from the synergy, strength, resilience. You know, the Two Mics are entertaining and funnier than most of the people you know. So you're welcome.
And where can they find your podcast?
Well, wherever podcasts can be downloaded.
Excellent. Remind me to bring this back up at the end of the episode as well. I tend to forget to promote our guest stuff when they're on. So I apologize for that. But you can find us at IHateCritics.net, everyone's a critic podcast.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our handle is CriticsPod. And wherever you find podcasts, Alexa, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Subscribe to the show, rate and review the show. We're also on YouTube. Click the little bell in the right-hand corner to get notifications when a new episode drops. And then patreon.com/criticspod. The best way to help support the podcast. And then there's our podcast merch at IHateCritics.net. Up in the right-hand corner, we have our TeePublic page. And I think if you just go to teepublic.com and search Critics Pod, you'll find our stuff as well. So now that we got all that out of the way, let's talk about Batman for about 5 or 10 minutes.
I thought it was an all right trailer. The new Batman trailer with Robert Pattinson in the role of Batman and Bruce Wayne, and Pattinson's convincing. You know, I bought in. I'm definitely bought in on him. I like him. I think he makes an interesting Batman.
What do you think, Michael?
It seems like it's going to be very entertaining. It seems like whenever they do Batman, they're kind of all in. The DC Warner Brothers people. It kind of felt like a little bit of The Crow, a little bit like we got to make sure we paint his eyes. We got to make him look dark. We got to mess his hair up a little bit. This is what everyone's going to love. But it looks good. I think it looks pretty fantastic. But DC, they always do great trailers. So we'll see.
And it's interesting you mentioned the eye makeup, though. That's been a controversy in the Batman universe for a number of years because people have talked about that, you know, he's always painted his eyes and none of the movies have ever acknowledged that, to the point where even when Keaton in Batman 2 takes off his mask and he doesn't have the makeup on, you see it in the scene before he does have makeup on.
Right. I was just going to say that. Yeah, they kind of acknowledge it there by by the movie mistake, because you can see it when he has the mask on. The makeup disappears first.
Yeah,
totally,
exactly. So people are kind of excited that they're actually acknowledging the fact that he's using eyeliner, I guess.
I just imagine like he's got a call, like the bat signal's out, and he's like, hold on. He's like standing in front of the mirror and he's just like painting his eyes real quick. Hold on. I got it. Hold on. Before I put
It's like Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
I watched it too. I was I was drinking and I was on my phone and I was at a campfire, kind of in my backyard with a little fire going on. So I was kind of watching it, but then I didn't really notice much about the trailer. I thought he looked cool. I'm glad he's different looking than the Batmans before, because he's a little bit smaller guy. He's younger. I don't know. So I'm at least intrigued, but honestly couldn't tell you much about the trailer other than what he looked like. So, and then you said you got into, like, Zack Snyder popped up in your Twitter feed.
Before we leave Batman, though, we should acknowledge that. I mean, let's just keep all the Batman stuff together because there's more Batman news. Batman's going to be featured in the Flash movie that they're making with Miller, the kid Miller, and. In the Flash movie, apparently they're going to do this multiverse thing where we've got different versions of Batman and different universes. And apparently Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck are both going to be in this, playing their version of Batman.
You think they'll get Clooney?
They're only going to get fat nipples. That's all they're getting.
They're getting Val Kilmer for sure. I know that. Sorry.
Oh.
I mean...
Just prop his corpse up in a corner.
Yeah, poor guy. I just watched that documentary about Island of Dr. Moreau, and apparently he was just a dick the entire time to everybody. Well, who wouldn't be, I guess.
Is that the documentary about the director where he's kind of hiding? He gets fired, he just hides on the island.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he shows up in a scene and he's got a mask on playing one of the mutants.
Yeah, that's a crazy story.
Yeah, I mean, Val Kilmer is a weird one.
I think it's cool. I think Ben Affleck doing that, I think, is awesome, and of course everybody's looking forward to seeing Keaton as well. And I think it's a clever idea. And the multiverse. I'm not a big comic book fan, but even I know that the multiverse is a big deal in the DC universe because they destroyed all of them except for their main universe.
Yeah. Well, and whatever. I mean, I know Spider-Man's different, but they kind of played with it in that cartoon movie, and that was awesome. So
yeah,
it can be done right. It'd be cool if they got Christian Bale to do it too, though. Obviously Clooney would be a joke, but if you got Bale in there as well, I don't know if that's even possible depending on what the script says, but it'd be neat.
They should. I want them to have them interact with a old version of Adam West. Just get him into that footage with some Adam West Batman. That'd be great.
That's the equivalent of the Porky Pig Spider-Man. No offense to Adam West, but and then I mean the Justice League trailer dropped as well. I didn't get to see that one. Was that supposed to drop or was it leaked?
No, I think it was a leak. I think somebody said it was a leak. I think actually Snyder said it was a leaked trailer. That's what he was and that's part of what he was all pissed off about. So there's this critic, Scott Mendelson's a good critic. He does a lot of stuff online, and he reviewed the trailer. He just kind of gave a couple thoughts on it on Twitter, and Zack Snyder got all upset because Mendelsohn basically said that what the trailer looked like was just a couple of cut scenes from the original Justice League trailer and some alternate takes, and what's going to be different about this. And Snyder shot back and said, well, you said you liked the Saturday morning cartoon feel of the first version of this, and but you're not even in the demographic, which is a great thing to hear a director say, is talking about a demographic. You just know his head's in the right place. But he says, why are you even reviewing this? This is a leaked trailer. You shouldn't even be reviewing this. And it's doth protest too much here, my friend. Kind of calm down. Relax. Is this not the trailer that you made?
I mean, if he said it's not.
Well, no. I mean, he didn't say it's a leaked trailer, so it's his trailer he made. So it is his.
Yeah,
I think it's going to, when it does come out, I think it's just going to be a mess. I don't know. I don't think everyone's going to be disappointed. I don't know.
I don't think it's going to be like this, Watchmen or anything like that, but I think it might be better than what Joss Whedon did. Or it's going to be different. And no one really liked what Zack Snyder did anyway, except for us, me and Sean and Josh. I don't know how you felt, Michael, but I remember when that came out, we were the only ones that liked it, that were critical, in the critical world. So I don't know. I think I'll like it more because the other one was just too watered down, and this one will be a little. But I don't think it's going to break any boundaries. It's just going to be a movie, which is, you're right, it's going to disappoint people.
Because he can't make new footage. He's not going to be able to change all that much. And Whedon, what Whedon did was a little bit more Whedon stuff, and you take out a little bit more of the Whedon stuff, and you're just going to make it dour.
Well, yeah, but that's what I liked about the other one. What did you think?
The new version is just going to take out all the bro comments from Aquaman.
Pretty much.
I just want a cut where they just leave Henry Cavill's mustache on. That's the Snyder cut I want.
Release the mustache cut.
Wasn't all the mustache stuff Joss Whedon shit?
I don't know.
The recut, the reshot stuff. Yeah, maybe.
Yes, I don't know. Did you like any of the Justice League stuff? Anything Zack Snyder's done with the Justice League from Man of Steel on?
I liked Man of Steel. I thought pretty much I'd say that movie was a B or B plus. I thought it was pretty fantastic. I loved all this, everything that before he became Superman and the first miss and the Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Well, and then it feels like they are playing catch up, and they're trying to do like, okay, we got to do this, this, and this, and there wasn't any singular vision. But we are living in a world where they made these high production value. I mean, they try to think of it as you're living in a blessed world, like these high production value movies with great great special effects, and it's just some of them are going to be good, some are going to be bad. Even like some of the Marvel movies, like some of them are better than others, some of them are worse than others. And I think that hopefully DC will figure it out. The more movies they make, the more movies they have a chance of making a good movie. So I think we just live in a good world. I mean, they say this is killing cinema. There's no more film, but it's like, this is entertainment. This is escapism. This is what people want right now. So yeah, hopefully DC gets it right eventually and they figure it out. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, they did, like you said, Man of Steel was decent and had its moments, and then Wonder Woman was fantastic. But yep. It felt like they were, like you said, play catch up with trying to catch the Avengers, really. So they went right into Justice League when they could have taken its time. So I don't know. But you're right. The more they do it, the better they'll get, hopefully.
Everyone's kind of up in arms about this Snyder cut, but I want to see the Lord Miller cut of Solo. That's what I want to see. When's that coming out?
I'm good. All right. Let's get on to our new movies this week, and we'll start with Tesla.
Tesla comes from director Michael Almereyda and stars Ethan Hawke as the legendary inventor Nikola Tesla, whose name is now associated horribly with Elon Musk, the poor man. But no, this takes us back to the story of Nikola Tesla, 1884, just after he'd come to America, and he began working with Thomas Edison. They don't get along very well, and Edison is stuck on direct current, whereas electricity, whereas Tesla is pushing alternating current, which he says is more efficient, and so on. And that's going to be a battle for the next 20 or some odd years at that time, between he and then with Edison on one side and Tesla taking the side of Westinghouse, who here is played by, oddly enough, Jim Gaffigan in a strange performance. Can you imagine? We have a universe where Michael Shannon and Jim Gaffigan have played the same character, the same person. It's just a strange thing to think. Two very different takes, the current war and this. Nikola Tesla, that's kind of his role in movies, where he kind of pops up in other people's movies. Like David Bowie played him in The Prestige, and in the current war, he's played by Nicholas Hoult. And here he's played by Ethan Hawke, and they're three completely different people. It's like completely different perspectives. For one thing, Ethan Hawke plays Tesla as if he must have been on the autism scale. And that is a trope in acting today that I can do without, is actors desperately trying to get into understanding autism or assuming a character must be autistic based off of whatever evidence they made up in their head, or because it's more fun to play. I don't know what it is, but he doesn't like to be touched, and he doesn't like to talk, and he doesn't like to be, he likes to keep very insular, and it's all the typical tropes of somebody who's on the spectrum. And it's I get it. Maybe he has some kind of insight there that he found somewhere that people kind of mirrored off of what he knows of autism. I don't know. It's odd, though, and it does kind of take what you like about Ethan Hawke and kind of minimizes that. So it's an anti-charismatic performance. And whether it's truthful or not to Tesla, it doesn't help the movie. What does help is that there is a number of really good scenes and a number of really good ideas, and Almereyda is a good director. He's got a lot of ideas. And so there's a lot of things I like about this. There's one big, like, really sling your balls out there kind of moment near the end of the movie, because it's kind of experimental in its way. Eve Houston is his co-star here, and she's telling the story sort of in a sort of a fanciful fashion as sort of an untrustable narrator. And she's talking about him. She's talking about Tesla while she's sitting next to a Tesla coil, dressed in 1800s garb, but she has a laptop in front of her. Or
she's doing a PowerPoint.
And she's telling a story about Thomas Edison, and he's flipping through his iPhone. I mean, there's just a couple of little touches there, because and the indication is that without Tesla, these things probably wouldn't exist, which is right. And Tesla did kind of predict where we are today in terms of the way we communicate. And so that is an interesting and fair point. I just think this movie could be a lot more interesting. It could be a lot more entertaining. And overall, it's just kind of middling for me.
Did you get a chance to see it, Michael?
Yeah, I watched it. It felt like, I mean, they were going for the big swing. Like he was, because they broke the fourth wall multiple times, and like it just felt like they could have gone more. They could have gone bigger. They could have had this narrative going, and also because it's like, I think as a rule, maybe Amadeus, but I don't like any. I mean, most of the movies that are based on a true story they're not good. I don't think any of them are good at all. But it felt like they could have gone. I could have just spun around. Like it felt like they showed you what a movie, like a great movie, this could have been, but they didn't go all the way. Like they felt like they could have just tried something totally different with this, breaking the fourth wall, showing what his predictions were, what is the technologies he helped build. What they could have showed more of that, but instead they just give you little snippets.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Well, and to your point about Amadeus, I mean, that's not necessarily historically accurate. So they make it I thought the Elton John movie last year did the same thing, where they actually made a really good movie out of just kind of a little bit of truth, but they did something original with it. So, and I didn't watch this one because I read Sean's review, and I have to watch everything like in a small window. And Sean's review kind of made me say, let's maybe skip this one. But that is, I think if you're going to do a true story, rather than do what a documentary could do better, give it a little bit more character to make it, I don't know, more watchable.
Michael, what did you think of that big moment at the end, that little surprise at the end that just completely kind of comes out of nowhere?
Yeah. But also, who do they have playing Edison? The
Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah, and he's so off. Like I think they casted him very well. Like he's unsettling. Like they picked him perfectly for Twin Peaks, because you're like, this guy's just uncomfortable to be around. And then there's that moment where spoilers, they're pushing ice cream cones into each other's faces, and you're like, this is awesome. This is amazing. Like keep going, do more weird stuff like this. Like yeah. And then he goes to the bar and he's like, I need my Coca-Cola. And then he's like, flip it, like just like a normal dude day to day, just checking his iPhone,
I liked the fun, the fanciful touches. And like I said, there's a big moment at the end where it's a big ballsy moment that could land really well. And I think if they had gone in more of that direction, that more oddball sort of direction, maybe this could have worked. But it's the elements where they're treating this more like a typical biopic that it doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah.
Do they play any of Tesla's music in this?
There's music. There is music, but no, not Tesla.
Oh, that sucks. All right. Anything else on Tesla before we move on?
No.
It seemed like a movie my dad would like. It seemed like he's the guy who got like at the airport. He's like, I got another book on submarines. Okay, Dad. Like it seems like a person who likes historical movies would like this.
Yeah, not my dad. He's gonna like he's gonna like a movie we're gonna skip in 1990 for this week with Chuck Norris. The one and only Ivan.
Yes, the one and only Ivan stars the voice of Sam Rockwell as Ivan, a gorilla in a roadside attraction circus under the guidance of Bryan Cranston as a character named Mac, who is the master of ceremonies and owner of the circus, and he's had Ivan on this off-ramp in New Jersey for about 20 years. But the circus is failing, so he decides to bring in a baby elephant Ruby, voiced by Brooklyn Prince. And there's also a larger elephant, an older elephant with the voice of Angelina Jolie and some other animals that are involved. And basically what's going to unfold here is it is multiple stories. Because it takes a while to get to what you actually think the story is supposed to be about. The initial story is that he's kind of jealous of the little baby elephant coming in and taking his spot as the lead attraction, but then he becomes her protector, and then he becomes an artist, and it's an odd one. I think this is fine. It's a kids movie. It lacks any sort of ambition or any kind of anything that would unsettle anybody, which is fine. I don't want kids to be unsettled. I'm just saying that there's nothing here that's particularly memorable. They take the real life Ivan, which is based on a true story, is just kind of good at finger painting here and there. This movie treats it like at the end he turns into Picasso at the end, like, which is fine. It worked for me. The uplifting stuff is great, and I thought the voice cast was nice. I don't have anything bad to say about it. It's cheesy, it's forgettable, and I'm not going to remember I saw this movie in about a week.
My kids loved it.
Yeah.
Well, my son had, I guess, there's a book or a series of books or something. I don't know. Somehow my son knew all about it, other than just the trailer. Like, he was telling us all sorts of shit about the real Ivan. So from that aspect, he was excited about it going in. My wife falls, she always falls for this crap. So it's, she was crying and all that bullshit. But it's, the way you described it at the beginning, it's first he's upset at the elephant for taking a spot, then he becomes protected, then becomes an artist. Saying that sounds really, really bad. I mean, it sounds like a movie we should avoid. They do a good enough job pulling all that together to make it work. But when you sit back and talk about it, it's like, yeah, it's kind of dumb. But it works for what it is. It's fun. It's forgettable. But I mean, I could see, I don't know, my kids watching it multiple times for a while and then moving on to the next thing. I don't know. Did you show your kids, Michael?
I watched it. I tried to show the kids it on Thursday night. I was like, "Oh, we're supposed to watch this." Oh, so we watched the trailer, and I showed it to them, and they're like, "Dad, we should watch this. We should watch this right now." And then I click on it, I'm like, "Oh, it doesn't come out till tomorrow, children. I'm so sorry." And the trailer's like, it's almost got you like in tears, and all I could think about was Coco. When Robin Williams meets Coco the gorilla. I think Mr. Rogers meets him too, and I was just like, "We're watching this thing right now. We're gonna watch this right now." And they're like, "Oh, we can't watch it till tomorrow. You want to watch 101 Dalmatians? I'm sure it's just as good." It just feels like Malcolm's dad he's a great actor, and it feels like I'm sure he's got beachfront property, and that property tax is through the roof. It's through the roof, and everybody's got bills to pay.
Yeah,
and it's like, this is not like Toy Story. Like, it's a full family story. Like, it's a story for kids and adults, and this is just for children. And I'm sure it'd be perfectly fine and entertaining for kids, and my kids are gonna love it.
Yeah, and part of me wants to sit there and be like, well, I mean, he is holding on to these animals in cages, and they do a decent enough job to not make him look like a monster. Well, they villainize him a little bit, but I don't know.
Just to create tension, because you have to create tension here, and he's the only crux of that, to create tension with. So
well, and he is holding him captive. So I mean, it's not hard to villainize him, but at the same time, they don't want to go too far, because I guess he did save him from poachers or whatever. So I don't know. It is what it is.
One aspect of this that did bother me was that the rabbit and the chicken, I thought, were just directed to be so completely over the top that it borders on offensive.
It's got Ron Funches in it. Ron Funches.
He's really great, but he's also just, in this movie, he's just directed completely over the top, and he and Shaka Khan are doing all that. Shaka Khan, what the fuck? I just, what the hell was that about? But as a baseball playing chicken, by the way, okay. They're just directed to be so sassy, and it's like, okay, tone it, bring it back. There's other kinds of characters you can play.
Well, it kind of feels like Top 5, like in Top 5 with Chris Rock a little bit. It's like, put a little more stank on it, Like, it feels like they were told that when they were recording this.
Yes.
And they really just wanted the chicken for the cross the road joke. That's really all it was there for.
Oh God.
My family went on vacation to the Black Hills, but on the way back from the Black Hills to Illinois, we stopped at a roadside attraction zoo like this. And you're just like, every time I think of it, I'm like, we were part of the problem. There's like a chicken that played tic-tac-toe, and there was a bunch of other like little stuff that they had chickens doing, and they had like a duck do something else, and you're like, what is this horrible? And then there was an alligator. There's these alligators. It was I don't know. It just felt like anytime there's a roadside attraction zoo, just keep on driving. Just keep on driving.
Yeah, especially after Tiger King.
Yeah, I know. That's what it felt like. They had this in the can. Like, wait. Tiger King just came out. Let's hold on to it a little bit longer.
That is true. I didn't even think about that aspect of it. Oh, man. All right. The Prey.
The Prey, yes. This is a Chinese-Cambodian co-production of essentially a story that's inspired by The Most Dangerous Game. You're both familiar with The Most Dangerous Game?
Yeah.
Yes?
A little too familiar.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, pretty much everybody... Man is the most dangerous game, and it's a hunter who is tired of hunting animals, wants a bigger challenge, so he begins hunting people. It's based off a 1924 short story by Richard Connell, which has been remade dozens of times in various different ways, straightforward adaptations, and just people who just take the premise of people hunting people. And this is just the latest one of those. This one happens to be set in Cambodia. An agent undercover for the Chinese intelligence goes into Cambodia to try and stop the drug trade. He ends up getting swept up in this arrest, but it's not a real arrest. It's arrest by this evil warden who picks up criminals and puts them in this jail that he has. It's sort of hidden by the Chinese-Cambodian border, and he keeps people there to invite millionaires over to hunt them. And they get to select from this group of prisoners which ones they want to hunt, and they select, obviously, our hero, who's going to have to fight his way out alongside 9 other dead meat guys who are going to get killed along the way. And it's fine in terms of the action. It's gory. It's got martial arts aspect to it as well. And the thing of it is that these characters aren't particularly interesting. Like the main guy, he's a young actor. I think he's making his first feature debut here, and he's good enough. He's got a good face. He's likable enough. The 3 villains are basically like one is old and evil, the other one's handsome and evil, and the other one's just young and crazy. And that's basically the only traits they're given. And it's not particularly interesting. And really, just watching them die is not particularly interesting. And I didn't want the hero to die, so I guess that I was compelled in that way. Other than that, there's nothing to this.
Yeah, I read your review of that one and decided to skip it as well. I mean, I am more into genre. Like, I can forgive, a bad story for a cool genre movie, but nothing that I read elsewhere besides what you read said it would get that audience to love this movie anyway. And the scores were just kind of okay, at IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, so I avoided it as well. It just didn't look that good for a genre movie either. I don't know. What are your thoughts there? Will the genre fans love it, or is it just kind of it exists?
Maybe. I mean, there's if you're somebody who kind of likes the idea of maybe like a martial arts tinged version of The Most Dangerous Game, I guess if then that's what's in for you, then maybe you'll like it. But overall, there's not enough for me here to like it. It's got solid violence, and like I said, a little bit of martial arts here and there. One particularly gory death that's interesting looking, but that's about it.
It's as good as the Ice-T movie.
It's been a while since I've seen that one.
We should have made that the classic.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event for the linear, legitimate, and universally recognized Undisputed Classic.
I may have hit the button too early. Had you seen The Prey, Michael, or not?
No, I have not. I once saw the trailer.
All right, Talk Radio.
Talk Radio is directed by Oliver Stone from 1988 and starring Eric Bogosian in a story that he adapted for the screen from his very own one-man play that he did, which is based actually off the real-life death of a Denver talk radio host who was murdered by neo-Nazis. Wow. So the story goes is that Barry Champlain is on his last night as a local talk show host in Dallas because he's about to become a national talk show host from Dallas. And they're going to take his show and make it a national thing. And his show is basically just him yelling at people, which is not unusual for the radio genre. At that time, I was actually kind of a subgenre of radio, is this kind of shock jock, yell at everybody, yell at the world kind of thing. And so it's not entirely based on nothing. At the same time, there's a lot of fanciful elements here. Like, he doesn't really have a format. And I'm going to get into the radio aspect of it too early because I am in radio. And so some of these things kind of take me out of the movie. Like, Bob, if you see accounting in a movie, that's not how this works. That's kind of how I do that a little bit. Yeah. When I watch stuff like this, I can't help myself. But there's so much that's good here in terms of just what he's talking about and the way he says it. And I think the main thing is that Bogosian is so powerful. He's got such a great voice and such an amazing amount of poise and fire and passion, and you just want to listen to him. And no matter what he's saying, a lot of the shit he says is really horrible, but at the same time, some of it is really compelling because of the way he says it. And that really is the most compelling element of the entire movie is Bogosian's performance and the passionate delivery of it, especially the final moments. I know people are going to find this to be a strange thing to say. This is my favorite Oliver Stone movie. I like this more than I like Platoon.
Michael?
How dare you? No, this actually has like real filmmaking in it. Like, there's camera moves, and you can tell at one point his table's moving and everything else is locked down. And it's like, this is like him actually being a filmmaker. Like, he's not like, I got this conspiracy theory, so I decided I'm going to make this movie about it, or I'm going to that World War II documentary, the one about the military and industrial complex. He's like, I got this. I'm going to make this 13-part documentary on Showtime about how horrible America is. Like, this is like real filmmaking. Like, he's telling the story visually. It gets kind of exhausting for me at the end because they've got like the voiceover and stuff, but like everyone is cast fantastic, and it just kind of like, it feels like a combination of like different characters at the time, like a Morton Downey Jr. or whatever. And it's like, it's good. I'd recommend it. It feels like it's an underseen movie. I remember seeing it once when I was younger, and this guy's got so much energy, so much power. You can't imagine him not being in other movies. He was in the Adam Sandler movie, wasn't he? Did he play like the brother or the brother-in-law?
He was the uncle. Yeah.
The uncle. Okay.
Yeah. Eric Bogosian played, Uncut Gems. Really good performance.
It was. Yeah, everyone needs the Uncut Gems too. But this, I thought it was like every person in the cast was fantastic, and it kind of like it showed him being fragile, and you could tell like this was his passion project. Like everyone, like he cared about this, and he had so much energy. It was fun. Yeah,
I agree, but at the same time, I still think Oliver Stone's a weak link in the movie, if that makes any sense. It's just, I don't know. Platoon is still my favorite Oliver Stone movie, but I'm not a fan of, I don't like Scarface really. I don't really care for any of his biopics. This is good, but I also watch this and pump up the volume back to back, and I'm like, God, if you could just combine these two movies into one and get all the weak parts of both together, it'd be perfect. And that may be part of the problem too. And I watched them both on my phone, which always is not as it does affect the viewing, but it is really good. It's got really good ideas. It's just,
I just imagine you at the park with your kids or whatever. I mean, like, Daddy's got to watch this movie for this podcast.
Go play. That's not far off. And sometimes that does affect the experience, especially during this quarantine time. But I like the ideas. I do feel like it's a little bit like as much as I like the speech at the end where he's admitting that he's fake and he's all self-serving. Self-serving people don't usually do that, and so that takes me out of it a little bit. Even though I like everything that's being said, it also is not in my mind realistic. So now it's it's no longer being that amazing movie. It just goes to good, I guess. So I don't know. It's just.
I like it. I like it. I like how bold it is and how unique it is, and I like that they took on the filmmaking challenge of just keeping it mostly in that one room for the most part. I think they embraced that challenge really well, and they made it work. And those callers were all so odd, like just so uniquely odd. And I got to shout out the most racist, the two most racist callers on the show. The worst ones were both voiced by Earl Hindman Wilson from Home Improvement.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. But you got John C. McGinley and Alec Baldwin here as well, who are pretty great in this. McGinley's always just fun to see. Whatever he does, he's got so much energy and life. Just resting the phone on his neck for some reason. It's just such a weird. Like you could just see that's just like a tick. This is something I want this character to do, and I just love that about him. But also, you both watched Pump Up the Volume. Did you notice that Ellen from this movie is also in Pump Up the Volume?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the performances are really what I like the most about it. I think, like you said, it's a passion project of the star. So, and you throw just the great performances really make this movie work, more than the story itself does. And I do like the story. I'm taken out of it a little bit just by not buying into the realism of it. But that's just me projecting on it too. So. This very, very well could have. I know it's based on a true story. Maybe that Denver guy did the same thing at the end before he got shot. I don't know.
No, I actually, if you read Ebert's review, and Ebert also liked this movie a lot. He actually had been on that guy's show, the Denver guy's show, back in the day, and he said that the guy was completely different. That guy was like a real, honest to God hippie type, and that's what actually got him killed, was being kind of a hippie type.
Yeah, but I did like that. He was self-serving and pretended to be something else, because that is something. I mean, I like that idea. I just didn't like him admitting it at the end. I don't know.
I loved that, but I love that he got like here he is. He thinks he's self-immolating. We think he's self-immolating, and then everybody goes, "That was great. This is amazing. We're gonna make the deal and take you wide as soon as possible." Right. I love that. He's like, wait, no, this isn't. But no, it is weird. It is weird to have like, cause I'm on the radio every day, and to have people perceive you one way and you be another way is absolutely real, and that disconnect between who you are on the radio and who you are as a person, you can't. It's impossible to communicate yourself fully, and you don't really want to in many ways communicate who you are fully as a person on the radio. Right. I don't think, at least right. Some people might. I don't really need that type of level of confessional, like everybody knowing my business. I don't do that, but
so you don't tell everybody you're wearing a cock ring while you're on the radio.
But it is a weird sort of identity thing when you have people making assumptions about who you are, and then you're somebody else.
Yeah,
that is, and I thought this movie got to that really well.
I do agree with that. I like how like you said, that scene afterwards where they want to take them wide. That was, that does. I like this movie. It's very, very good, and I mean, it's definitely. I mean, off the top of my head, I'll say it's my second favorite Oliver Stone movie, but I'm just kind of going.
Well, he's also got a pretty weak filmography. If we're really getting down to it, I know we're not allowed to say that for some reason because he's some kind of protected sacred cow director, but no, he's actually only made like 2 good movies.
I mean, I appreciate
Salvador. I think is actually pretty good, and he wrote other movies too. So right. I don't know. I mean, but this is. I mean, it just feels like he's kind of gone off into his own world, and it's like it's nice to have like an actual filmmaker. Like this was like he made the effort with the camera and the lighting and the framing and the mise en scène. He made the effort to make it look good. Like this is, you could see the work done in this.
Right. And I mean, at least he has his own style and his own vision. I'm not a fan of it. Like Natural Born Killers is fine. I like it okay, but I don't love it like a lot of people do.
You're more of a U-turn fan.
Yeah.
Words no one has ever said.
Yeah.
But I agree with it.
Okay.
Let's move on to Pump Up the Volume then.
Yes, Pump Up the Volume came out 30 years ago this weekend, starring Christian Slater and Samantha Mathis. And Christian Slater plays Mark, a new kid at Arizona high school who has a secret identity as a radio host, calling himself Happy Harry Hardon. He's used a shortwave radio to take over a radio signal and just kind of talks to whoever will listen. And just kind of does this stream of consciousness bit where he'll talk about something weird and pretend to masturbate and play Leonard Cohen songs and just just generally having the kind of time that I think a teenager of his mindset might. And I really, as a kid, 14 years old, seeing this for the first time, I bought into this big time. I fell in love with this character. I fell in love with Christian Slater as an actor. He became for a time like my favorite actor. And this movie made me want to be in radio. It really did. I thought my secret vision for myself at 14 was to be this radio star who saves the world with his radio show and all that stuff. And and I think it's still with me today watching this movie. I can still get those kind of goosebumps from watching it the first time. Not that it's terrific filmmaking. I think there's a lot of elements to it that are kind of cheap, and the movie kind of has kind of a stop and start sort of feel to it at times in terms of the construction. But I think overall, I just really like Christian Slater a lot. I like what they were going for, and I really bought into the idea of what what he would say about the school and how the school was treating kids, and I think a kid would be like this guy. I really do. Even though he's obviously not a teenager himself at the time, I do think that people would be like him. I think they would buy in. I know they would buy in. I would have bought in at that age on a guy like that if I heard him on the radio at that time. I think that element of it works for me. I think that's actually really believable. And his passion and his excitement and the way he talks to people, I think that actually all worked for me. And I love this movie, even as it is. Again, it's a product of its moment in many ways. And it, like I said, from a filmmaking perspective, it's kind of just okay. Michael?
Who is Sean and what have you done with him?
What?
This is, I was like, oh, this is going to be right in my wheelhouse and Sean's going to hate this movie. It's like, but I mean, I think about that it feels like it's kind of, for me, it's the same thing, but it's into the podcasting or whatever. It's just like, I got to have my own radio show someday. I'm going to podcast in my basement and say cuss words just like Christian Slater. All right, I'm going to go down in my basement and talk hard just like Christian Slater. This movie is fantastic. I think it is a product of its time, and it is dumb and it is fun, and it's fun to just watch Christian Slater do its thing. Between this and Heathers, you're like, Christian Slater is the coolest dude in the world, especially when you're a teen or preteen or whatever. You're just I know it's weird. Cuffs. I love cuffs. I do. I love cuffs. And also, he did also star in Young Guns 2. Someone almost say that's the Navy SEALs of Western movies. I was listening to your podcast and I was mowing and I had to just stop. I'm like, oh God, that's hilarious. Oh my God. That was pretty funny, Bob.
Well, we're going to get to the Navy SEAls of garbage can movies. Or garbage can
okay,
movies
yeah.
a little bit. Anyway, continue.
Okay. But it's this movie is Samantha Mathis. Is that who's in it? Is that she was just she was perfect. That'd be the perfect high school girlfriend. He's living the perfect high school life. You're like, I want to be Christian Slater.
I had a huge crush on her. Still do. Yeah, she's amazing.
Were they in Broken Arrow together too? Weren't they in Broken Arrow? Anyway.
Thanks for ruining it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. But it's like he had this. Christian Slater had this trajectory, but I mean, he's still doing good and he's on TV now or anything, but it's just he's so cool. It's just it's like he figured out how to be a cool teenager, and it was so much fun watching this movie.
I think he was harmed badly by everybody calling him a Nicholson impression, and I think that really held him back. I think he tried to escape that, and when he did, he went into all the wrong roles.
Yeah, I had never seen this movie, and it was weird because I'm watching.
I don't understand.
I was very not allowed to watch. I was sheltered as a child, so I didn't get to see movies with boobs in it, especially until I was old enough to see movies with boobs in them. And so I remember asking to see this movie because I thought the cover was cool, and I just wasn't allowed to, so I watched it for the first time this weekend. And it was weird because I'm watching it because Sean said it was a movie that made him want to be in radio, and I totally could see why. It is a fine movie. I guess I was hoping for amazing, like to totally surprise me, but instead it's just good. But I do like it. I mean, in a lot of ways, I could see like if you were to take Christian Slater from this movie and like Roger Ebert and combine them into one person, it is kind of Sean. I mean, am I wrong?
It's the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me.
I think that's what he was going for from the very beginning.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. It's contrived in some ways, and it's just a fun little. Everything works out perfectly, and the entire school gets behind him, which would never in a million years happen.
And they have like this showdown at the end by the football field.
Right? but it still works, and it's entertaining, and it doesn't. Because it's more of just a fun, entertaining movie, it didn't take me out of it like talk radio did when I just disagreed with something that happened. But I do like it. It was a good time, a good watch, even on my cell phone. My wife was very drunk last night, and she was like, "What are you watching?" And I was like, "Pump up the volume." And then she starts singing "Pump Up the Jam," but she's saying volume instead of jam. I'm like, "No, that's not in this movie." And then I explained to her the whole plot and everything. Oh. I'm not kidding. 5 minutes later, what are you watching? And I was like, pump up the volume. And then she starts singing Pump Up the Jam again with Pump Up the Volume. And I'm like, we literally just had this conversation 6 minutes ago. She's like, really? And then this morning, I'm retelling her the story, and she goes, really? I don't remember either one of those conversations. So...
time to push away that wine glass.
No kidding.
Just go to bed. I'm watching a Christian Slater movie.
But I'm glad I saw it. It was a fun movie, and it holds up if you're in the right. You just have to be able to remember the time it came out in, and watch it for what it is, and not like I was really hoping for like this. What we found Ninja Turtles to be.
Right.
Instead, it's just, but it is very good.
I love that there's this kind of, among all the kids and among him, there's this almost like this sort of naive hopefulness to it that, as cynical as it is, and many times, and obviously he's very cynical from his limited experience. But I thought that bled into this sort of odd little bit of hopefulness that I see a lot of times in teenagers, where you have this naive belief that yes, in fact, I can change the world.
I'm changing the world.
Yeah, and
right.
I love that. I actually love that aspect of it. I think that's really a sweet part of this that underlines the entire thing, is that his as angry as he is, and as much as he has all these problems and all this angst, he does actually want to change things for the better, I think. And I think that ending is so hopeful. All those kids, you hear the kids at the end just flipping on their own radio broadcasts. I thought that was really neat.
And at the same time, like, I'm always the Charlie Brown of these movies, where I just like, well, but in reality, I mean, he does get arrested and he's kind of taken down. So you're left with the hope and the realistic, aspect, which is what I like about it, because it is kind of cool that way. They don't shy away from that. They could have let him get off with it, and he's just this hero, and instead he's both. And I thought that was done really well. So I don't know. It's a good movie. I just,
it definitely feels like lesser movies he would definitely get off.
Right.
Of like there'd be no consequences.
Absolutely.
Anything else on Pump Up the Volume before we move on?
No.
If you're like Bob and you have never seen this movie, go see this movie right now.
It's on YouTube in 19 parts.
That is pretty much, unless you have the DVD, that is the only way to see it.
How do you think you can rent it if I'm not mistaken?
I think it's probably a music rights issue, would be my guess.
Men at Work.
Yes, Men at Work, 1990, starring Emilio Estevez, directed and written by Emilio Estevez and that other guy who's in the movie as well.
Chuck.
Garbage men find a body in the trash that they happen to be familiar with, and they set about trying to solve his murder as garbage men and stop environmental pollution. It's all right, I guess.
I mean, just the way you describe it's why it's so awesome.
It's just two dudes living their best life, picking up trash in the morning and surfing in the afternoon.
I mean,
eating pizza, shooting pellet guns at politicians. It's a fantastic film. I'd recommend it to every single person on the planet. But also at this time, it was like the Captain Planet. Like that's what was going on, like the pollution save the earth thing. So it's like, obviously they're going to make pollution the bad guy in this movie.
Well, it's never actually been the good guy in a movie.
No.
Oh, Toxic Avenger. I apologize to the Toxic Avenger fans out there.
That's funny. I mean, what I like about this is that, Navy SEALs they're Navy SEALs. So it's like, well, they wouldn't, that's just kind of dumb. Right. Young Guns there. It's a West. They're garbage men, and then it's kind of more fun this way. The way it works out, than as silly as it is, it knows it's silly and it embraces its silliness, and that's what makes it fun and watchable. I don't know.
I've always talked about the when it comes to comedies of the 80s and 90s, the Bugs Bunny factor, and I'm a big fan of Bugs Bunny characters, and there are two of those. They're basically both playing the Bugs Bunny character here. There's smartest guy in the room, always got something funny to say, always just a little bit ahead of everybody else's game, and I like that aspect of it, but I don't know. I've kind of maybe I just grown out of this movie, having seen it. I loved it when I was like 14, and today it's like, oh yeah, that's fine.
It has Chainsaw in it from summer school. I work in the EMS field, and of certain people of a certain age, like every single person identifies with Mother Jugs and Speed or Emergency, the television program. I challenge anyone who's a garbage picker or garbage thrower. I'm sure this is the movie they love. Of a certain age, like this is the one. Like I saw Men at Work and decided to become a garbage man. This is just like watching Pump Up the Volume with Sean. It's like I really want to pick up garbage. And like the animosity they have for the other garbage man is fantastic. I had no idea that Emilio directed this movie, but I mean, did you see The Way?
No.
Yeah.
I thought, that was like an actual movie. He made a real movie then. So, this dumb movie led to him making a real movie later on,
I also saw Bobby, and that was like,
real bad.
Real bad.
It's got Keith David in it. This guy he should have had like a real role in a real movie, because he's like the most talented person in Hollywood. Like because he's like an opera singer. He speaks like 5 different languages. Like he's amazing as this Vietnam vet.
No
kidding. It's so much fun.
Yeah, he really stands out in this movie. And it's like he could be a pro wrestler. That's how.
Didn't he choreograph his own fight with Roddy Piper?
Pretty much, yeah. And in the fight scenes in this too, he looked really good.
Yeah.
He's almost too talented, which gets some roles that that he got. But he really stood out for me. And in fairness, when Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez are on their game, they're as charismatic as it gets, especially Charlie Sheen. So, he's got issues, don't get me wrong, but when he's on. And I thought he was on for this.
Interesting. You mentioned Dean Cameron as Chainsaw. I can only see him right now as Rockula, which makes me just angrier and angrier every time I think about it. But have you not seen Rockula, Michael?
What's Rockula? Am I missing out? I mean,
no.
Oh my God, Rockula is in which he plays a rock and roll Dracula.
Really?
It's the worst movie ever made. It's one of the worst movies ever made.
It might be right in my wheelhouse.
So awful. I hate it so much, and I can't understand how it exists.
But I don't know that it's even fun bad. You know,
is it better or worse? Is it better or worse than Ski School? When does that come out?
Far worse. Far worse. Far worse than that. You don't even I couldn't even make it all the way through Rockula. That's how horrible it is. But weird connection here between all of our movies. Somehow we're having this with Talk Radio. Stuart Copeland did the music for this and for Talk Radio.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was just like, that's random.
So, yeah, it's Stuart Copeland week on the show.
Anything else on Men at Work?
It's fine.
Sean says it's fine. He's only saying that because I'm on the podcast. He doesn't want to hurt my feelings. This is the dumbest movie ever made. I mean, I honestly feel this, but it's so much fun. Or at least maybe like the first 5 times it's fun, but then you're like, okay, I've seen this. It's getting old. Like I get to see that.
Yeah.
But if you wait 15 years and watch it the 6th
and
time,
then revisit, yeah.
I saw it for the first time again, and I enjoyed it at the age of 40. So,
well, there's a lot of scenes that are kind of reminiscent of like Airplane almost. Like some of they do like these close-up shots, and they do the weird comedy bits, and you're like, this is just like right out of Airplane. It's a lot of fun.
And in loving Hot Shots and even Loaded Weapon,
yeah,
that just I don't know. I like those two guys, and I wish they were better all the time. I don't know.
My buddy Dave and I for years would always use that golf clap bit.
Yeah.
So that's really the main takeaway that I still have from that movie.
After Dark, My Sweet. You actually watched this?
Yes, After Dark, My Sweet, Jason Patric, Rachel Ward, Bruce Dern, directed by James Foley. I only watched it because it's actually one of Ebert's great movies. Like, he wrote a great movies article about this, not just a review. So I was like, I got to see that. And it's really awesome. After Dark, My Sweet is about an ex-boxer who's just killed a man in the ring. And in doing so, he also suffered some pretty serious injuries to himself. And he's gone kind of off the... He had to be hospitalized, and he escaped from the hospital. He's kind of an escaped mental patient, essentially, at this point, just kind of roaming the desert, pretending to look for a person that's never going to show up. He wanders into this bar and kind of snakes a beer and starts talking to this woman and gets into a fight with the bartender and knocks him out. And the woman's kind of turned on by that. So she picks him up and takes him home.
As they are.
She picks him up and takes him home, and she's going to give him like a job working on her property, while she's also just kind of sizing him up to see is he crazy or is he kind of just hot? Which because Jason Patric is a pretty handsome dude, even when he's wearing a dirty T-shirt and kind of seems kind of really out of it like a punch drunk boxer, but. Bruce Dern plays like a friend of hers, Uncle Bud, who's been cooking up this scheme for a little while about kidnapping a millionaire's kid and holding him for ransom. And when he sees Jason Patric, he's like, "Oh, this guy will be my patsy. He'll be the one to pull this off for me." And Patrick is the character Kevin or Collie, I guess he called himself Collie Collins. Kind of sees right through this. He's as punch drunk as he is. He has these times where he's very lucid and very aware of himself and aware of who he is and what he's doing. And he's going to kind of go along with this, but at the same time, he recognizes all the steps that are taking place here. And he's actually a good person who's just kind of lost and confused and doing things that he maybe shouldn't do, but doesn't really see anything else he can be doing at that time. And I love the perspective of this character. He's just such an odd character. And Bruce Dern's pretty amazing in this. And I would say Rachel Ward's probably the weakest aspect, but she's also like the most underwritten aspect because this is it was based off of a novel in 1955, and it's directed by a man, that's going to tend to happen, where the female characters is going to be the one that's a little bit underwritten. So you got to take a little bit of that, but she's good enough to provide his motivation and to provide a really terrific ending. And so this movie is actually quite good.
Man, I feel bad. I didn't know who was in it. I saw the poster, and I just immediately thought like Red Shoe Diaries, and I was like, this is some stupid sex drama.
Yeah, and there's not even that much sex in the movie, which is really like there's not even any nudity in this movie.
Yeah, that's my bad.
At any point in this film, does Jason Patrick corral an out of control liner, like a luxury liner at all, like that's
No.
on the water? Okay. Does he ever become a half vampire at all?
No.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Nor does he use heroin regularly. No, that doesn't happen.
Is he a sleeper?
I didn't watch. I watched a bunch of other movies. I didn't watch this one either. I think it sounds good. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I feel really bad for totally ignoring this one.
Yeah, I'll watch Pump Up the Volume for the 37th time, but I don't know about this.
All these movies I've never seen, so I watched Darkman for the first time. I'd never seen that.
I haven't seen Darkman in, I don't know, 30 years.
Yeah, it's like Sam Raimi trying to go, like he's still figuring out how to go mainstream. It's decent. It's like Batman meets Army of Darkness, but not as good as either one.
Is it Liam Neeson?
Yeah, it's Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson's.
I like it, but it's not, because Batman exists. It's hard to call this great.
I know it kind of felt like an indie Batman movie.
Right. But at the same time, still trying to be somewhat mainstream. But I don't know. He dies. They have a funeral for him, but he's not dead. So... And Frances McDormand just believes him, and I don't know. Did you watch it, Michael, at all? Or?
Yeah, I think the last time I saw it was at this guy Tom's house in 1996. And so I was like, I haven't seen this in forever, so I'll give it another shot. I still wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I don't know. There's like 4 or 5 scenes that are just like right out of Army of Darkness or right out of Evil Dead 2. Like, it's like, this is fun. Why aren't we doing this goofy stuff the whole time?
Right. And that's not enough to say, because Army of Darkness and Evil Dead exists, because Batman exists, it's not enough to say go watch this movie, even with a decent cast. But yeah, so I wasted my time on that. Maybe if Stuart Copeland did the score, it would have been better. But like, even like the score in Darkman, I was like, this just seems like a Batman ripoff. Like the heavy brass and like you even have like an operatic part. You're like, this sounds like Batman's score, 89 score. Yeah, it's. I will say it's better than Dick Tracy.
Okay.
And because of the Sam Raimi, the fun Army of Darkness like Evil Dead gore that he puts in it, but otherwise, yeah, it's pretty forgettable. Delta Force 2, anybody watch that one?
No. God, no. Fuck no.
Yeah, I caught up on that too. No Lee Marvin in this one. I don't know. It's like there's this scene that's kind of popular where Chuck Norris goes in. He just beats up members of his own Delta Force individually after one of his friends gets captured, and he's like, I feel better now. I beat up the entire Delta Force because I'm Chuck Norris. And then he kind of feels like it's part Rambo First Blood Part 2. Like he's doing his own thing, and it's just it's ridiculous. It's dumb. It's over the top, and it's like some unknown South American country they go, and he frees people that are in the DEA, and the president of the country is not working with our president, and our president is always right, and we're here with the DEA. It's very jingoistic. It is dumb. It's really, really stupid. I'm glad I watched it to remember I'm not going to watch this again.
Is it even like Rambo First Blood Part 2? At least it's fun. Is it even fun?
Yeah. No, not really. Except for that part where he beats up his own team members. You're like, these dumb bastards. What do they think they're doing going after Chuck Norris?
It's funny. Were there any other movies from 1990 that I'm forgetting?
No, I don't think so.
Any other movies you wanted to go over, Michael, since you're back on the show?
But I mean, it makes you think of that Golden Globus documentary, the Canon film documentary. It's like it needs to be watched. Everyone needs to watch that that documentary. And then also it reminds me of, what the heck was the name of it? It's a documentary about Romania, and it's about how these VHSs from Canon Film infiltrated Romania. What the heck was it? I'm gonna look it up. And they're like, it's like how Chuck Norris ended communism or something.
That's hilarious. I mean, the fact that documentary exists is what makes it not fun to go back and watch some of these movies.
Yeah,
it's a documentary called Chuck Norris versus Communism. It's just about how, like, you know, people were tape trading in like beyond the Iron Curtain, and like they were just like, well, the Western world is where we need to be. Let's watch this Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. Let's watch this, you know, this Dudikoff film. We're going to watch this. We're going to watch this Chuck Norris movie. It's like, this is amazing. We don't get any of this over here. And it just kind of felt like, even though they consumed restaurant-sized garbage cans full of cocaine at Golden and Globus, they were doing something good for the world. Does that make sense?
So it's not Rocky IV. It's Golden Globus and communism. Speaking of Golden Globus, next week American Ninja 4: The Annihilation comes out.
That one's got Dudikoff in it, doesn't he? Or I don't know.
Probably.
Or is it the girl? Or is it the girl from Electric Boogaloo?
Cynthia Rothrock, is she in that one?
I don't know. It takes a lot of work to find that stuff out.
I might be thinking of Domination.
I don't know. I'd have to
I think I'm thinking of American Ninja Domination.
I LOL. That was a real laugh.
Let's see here. We also got the Lemon Sisters and Mirror next week, and that's all. Oh no, we picked a few for next week to actually watch. Bill and Ted Face the Music comes out. Centigrade, You Cannot Kill David Arquette, and Breaking Fast. We're gonna watch all those next week. I may watch a movie called The Sleepover. We may or may not talk about it because I'm really bad at describing movies if Sean doesn't watch them. Michael Dudikoff is in American Ninja 4.
Okay. So you don't want to upset any Dudikoff fans. Some Duke heads. You don't want to upset those people that listen to your podcast.
Which one? One of them has a ghost ninja in them, though, don't they, Michael?
It all kind of blends into one really bad kung fu movie. Yeah.
What is Chuck Norris's name in Delta Force? Is it just Chuck Norris?
Was it Braddock? Was it Braddock?
So. No one. I don't know. No one really.
I think the third one. Right. I think at the third one they take his name and they like put it Braddock on top of the Delta Force. I think in number 3. I think I could be wrong.
Okay, but so
Braddock could be another movie made.
I mean, you got Rambo, you got Braddock, you got other movies with cool. In American Ninja, his name is Joe Armstrong. Oh my God! All right,
Michael, what's your podcast genre?
Partially film review, partially metaphysical. We've taken the idea that maybe we are living in the darkest timeline. I mean, we don't talk about Bill and Ted a lot, but we do talk about Back to the Future 2 a lot. Like since 2016, a squirrel may have gotten caught in one of those those centrifuge things, those giant ones they have at those universities, and we might be living in an alternate universe. Like we're literally in 85. Like right down the street is Biff's Pleasure Palace with, his mom with George, George McFly's wife with those things, and it feels like that. It's we talk about just Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Gremlins 2, Demolition Man, Idiocracy. Like, how are we in this world right now? Like another possible theory is that like when Joe went and got Kyle Hendricks out of the game, instead of leaving him in to pitch another inning or two, when the current Cubs manager got hit in the head and fell over, maybe we're all living in his fever dream, kind of like and staying elsewhere inside of that globe.
The worst Tommyverse ever.
Yeah. So, I mean, it feels like we are every day we're living in this darkest timeline, and we need to be living in the brightest timeline. And only Bill and Ted and this movie that's coming out next week will bring us on to this brightest timeline. And we will be living in a better world when when Bill and Ted Face the Music comes out
But you're
in
right,
less than 7 days.
You're right, because they're finally going to write the song that changes the world.
Exactly.
Does that mean coronavirus will be over?
Exactly.
John Wick shoots it.
That looks so bad.
What do you, I mean, I guess, yeah, it looks real bad. It does not look, it looks entertaining. It seems like a lot of fan service stuff, but I don't think it's going to be good.
I got it.
You know?
I know our classic, Sean. It's on Tubi, I think. Knock Knock.
Okay.
You gotta finally watch Knock Knock. Please.
Fine.
What's Knock Knock?
It's an Eli Roth movie with Keanu Reeves in it, and I'm telling you, it's the worst movie ever made.
I'm going to watch it.
It is Keanu Reeves. It's amazing he has a career after this, let alone Eli Roth. It is bad. So I think it would be the perfect week.
Done deal.
All right. You guys have time for Flick Chart?
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Dante's Peak.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter.
All right. Just go along for the ride then. Children of Men, Into the Wild.
Into the Wild.
Yeah, I like Into the Wild. I mean, it feels like they're both kind of, introspective kind of traveling kind of movies, but it feels like Into the Wild I'd watch more times than Children of Men.
Yeah, I think I like Children of Men more, but I'd probably watch Into the Wild first. I don't know. Probably wouldn't watch either one of them if I didn't have to.
Right.
I know they're good, but they're our homework. Speaking of homework, Coyote Ugly, Clear and Present Danger.
Coyote Ugly for me.
I like Clear and Present Danger. I'm my father's son.
I got a thing for Piper Perabo.
I named my son Harrison on accident. As soon as we named him that, and my friend was like, "Oh, Harrison Ford," I'm like, "Fuck, I forgot about that." I'm not a fan, so I'm gonna go Coyote Ugly. I mean, he's done good things. Don't get me wrong. Speaking of Harrison Ford, Witness of the Negotiator.
As much as I love The Cheese of the Negotiator, A Witness is a much better movie.
I'd go with Witness.
Yeah, I'll go with Witness on that one. Ooh, Black Swan, Vertigo.
Ooh,
oh,
that
wow.
is good. Wow. That's hard. That's very hard.
I mean, it's easy. I just
Black
want to
Swan.
say Vertigo because you're supposed to, but Black Swan's fucking
Right.
awesome.
I know. I am going to say Vertigo because I think I would watch Vertigo first, but I love Black Swan.
I like Black Swan better. I've got a complex emotional situation with Vertigo. It just seems like he's being toyed with the entire time, and it's like, how dare you mess with like the emotions and psychological health of Jimmy Stewart, George Bailey. Don't do that. And like I'm getting angrier and angrier as every scene continues. Black Swan.
Like
I love that we laid this on Bob. This is great.
They're both great movies.
Well, here's the thing: is like Black Swan. I know is great. Vertigo. I always forget about how good it is until I watch it, and I'm like, this is one of the best movies ever made. So I gotta go Vertigo, even though it's been a year or two since I've watched it. Watchmen: A Scanner Darkly.
Yeah, they're both kind of run together for me.
This also has Keanu in it, doesn't it? Isn't it Keanu?
Scanner Darkly
Scanner
does,
Darkly?
Yeah.
Scanner Darkly, I guess, just a little bit because I just really don't like Watchmen.
I like Watchmen.
I'm gonna go Watchmen. I put too much effort into that to say it's bad. Read the comic book and everything.
I don't think Watchmen's bad. I don't even really remember how I feel about it.
I mean, it's over long, and I do like the change they made. I think it's better than the actual graphic novel, even though that might piss people off. But I haven't gone back to watch it since seeing it, so if that means anything. K-Pax, The Sentinel.
Oh, The Sentinel.
Yeah, don't
even remember
K-Pax for anything ever.
I don't even remember what the Sentinel is, and I know it's better than K-Pax.
I think Corey Feldman's character in The Burbs was really into the Sentinel, so I'm going to go with Sentinel.
I agree. Star Wars, liar, liar. I will say liar, liar.
Star Wars.
The Star War.
Or as Josh would say, New Hope.
Episode 4.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Natural Born Killers, War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds.
This is the one with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
I think I'd go Natural Born Killers over it.
I like Natural Born Killers.
Let's see. Her, Animal Crackers.
Oh, that's a lovely pair of movies. Her, but I'm obviously I love the Marx Brothers.
I guess I'd go with Animal Crackers. I go with the classic on that one.
I'm gonna go Her, but they're both really good. Cashback. That looks like it's a short. Do you know what that is, Sean? From 2004.
Sounds familiar, but no.
All right, let's just redo that one. What about Black 47 from 2018?
No.
Jesus, where are these? Okay, here we go. Rocky 2, Jingle All the Way. It sounds like it should be
Rocky 2.
It sounds like it should
Rocky
be one
2
movie.
rematch.
It should be one movie, just Rocky 2, Jingle All the Way. Are you guys going to see them in the theaters? It's coming up this week or whatever.
Not a chance.
I am not, as much as I want to. I don't want the coronavirus.
I didn't even go see the new Russell Crowe movie, which I know there's some people going like, "Why you're a professional film critic? Why aren't you seeing Unhinged?" And I'm like, "Because I don't want to die."
Yeah. Well, and also I don't really don't want to encourage these people either.
Right.
Like the more people in the theater, you're going to encourage this. So.
And then, the Tenet review started coming out, and right away it was like really bad, but now they're saying good. What is the truth? I'm hearing, is it good or bad right now?
I have no idea where to go with this. I've read both good and bad, and yeah, it seems like there's a lot of people who are really out to get this movie for whatever reason, and then there's those who are like, it's fine. So I don't know.
But is it fine good enough for Christopher Nolan?
Probably not, but
that's kind of why I think I'm leaning towards. Obviously, I shouldn't lean towards anything without seeing it.
What was his last movie? Was it Interstellar? Was that his last movie?
No, the war movie, Dunkirk.
Yeah,
Dunkirk. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He's not made a bad movie, so I should be looking forward to it. It's hard to look forward to anything in the movies right now.
But he's also not made a good movie. It's weird. Dark Knight, I guess. But he's
Dark Knight,
Memento's
Inception,
good.
Memento.
Inception, I'm still out on.
Following. I love all those movies.
I'm still out on some of those, but anyway, this will be fun.
Memento, come on.
Memento was good. I agree. Memento and Dark Knight, but even though there's things I don't like about it. Pretty Woman, Summer Catch.
Summer what?
Summer Catch, 2001.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's the one with Matthew Lillard and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man. It's a terrible film, but it's better
Pretty
than
Woman. Pretty Woman. All day.
All day. Summer Catch. Freddie Prinze.
He's so handsome.
I'd rather watch that than the awful, horrible thing that is Pretty Woman.
I'll go.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Burn in hell.
What's your dream?
Burn in hell, Gary Marshall. Burn in hell.
Wow. Scrooged.
I gotta spit when I say his name. There we go. Now I feel better.
Scrooge. Gone in 60 seconds.
Scrooge.
Yep.
Suicide Squad. Check Forever After.
Shrek.
Yeah.
I didn't hate Suicide Squad like everybody else. This isn't.
You see the teaser for it? They've got like 1 million characters in James Gunn's version.
No, is it look good or no?
They didn't show any footage. They just showed all like the 21 characters characters that are going to be in this thing.
Like the first 30 minutes of Suicide Squad where they introduce all the characters to a different song.
It just feels like there's like 4 different intros, and you're like, just squeeze them all together.
I just thought that was neat. I understand it's a waste of time, but I just enjoyed it.
It was fun. It was fun to watch. It was eye candy.
I mean, try watching this cast teaser for this, and it's like watching that Key and Peele sketch for the NFL draft. It just doesn't seem to stop. It just seems new people just keep popping up with weirder names and weirder like superpowers.
All right, 2 movies that should never be mentioned in the same sentence are about to: Basketball and Call Me by Your Name.
And scene. Oh my god!
Don't forget to follow 2 Mics Podcast and all your podcast platforms.
Hey, remember I have my own podcast, 2 Mics Podcast. It's 2 Mats Media presents 2 Mics Podcast. The 2 Mics famous for being online, from 2 Mats films available on YouTube's Synergy, Strength, and Resilience. 2 Mics are entertaining and funnier than most of the people you know. You're welcome.
Thanks for coming on. Anytime you want to jump back on, by all means.
I just watched Palm Springs. Like, to me, that's fantastic. I think it's the best movie I've seen all year. I don't know. What's your guys' favorite movie of the year so far?
Mine is She Dies Tomorrow.
She Dies Tomorrow.
Mine's still The Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, The Hunt is so much fun. I think it's fantastic.
I mean, I'm sure as we get late in the year. So what is Palm Springs? Is that I haven't.
This is the Andy Samberg movie.
Oh yeah, I did watch that. That's very good too. I just totally forgot the name of it.
I watched it 3 times so far. I think it's great. It just seems like a movie I'd show my parents. Like they would actually like it too. Not my grandparents, because it'd be a little too offensive for them. But I think my parents would like it.
I like Samberg getting a little bit better. I appreciate him getting away from the Sandler people. It's good for him.
Yeah, and then the mom from How I Met Your Mother, she like actually keeps up with him like comedically. I think she does a great job.
Yeah.
And it's fun to talk hard with you guys. See you later.
Talk hard.